Hello, my name is Dale Wilhite. I live in Mountain Village, Colorado. If you want to find out anything about me, go to MySpace, where I have a page. This concept of mine that I'm about to propose or pitch would take power, political power, away from Congress and the White House and give it back to we, the American people, at least 5 times a year. What I'm proposing would require an American constitutional amendment to be passed, and that's going to be next to impossible to do with the political climate we live in, with the kind of people that are in power. But it's still worth the try. But it would require a constitutional amendment, and because the courts, what I'm about to propose, the courts would probably strike it down as unconstitutional unless what I'm about to propose is in the Constitution. So there's no other way. What I'm proposing is relatively simple. We, the American people, need to be permitted to vote on certain bills that have been crafted by Congress or by the White House, and we will decide when it's finished whether we want it or not. An example, the health care bill. Most of us in America don't want it. We want health care reform, but not this kind of health care reform. Well, they're still going to try to ram it down our throats anyway. They don't care that we, the American people, don't like it. They don't care that it's going to cost a lot of people their seats. They don't care that it's going to take over 1/6 of our economy. They don't care that it's going to be too expensive. They just don't care. What we think really doesn't really matter. They just don't care. Obama doesn't care. Pelosi doesn't care. Reid doesn't care. He'll care in November, but he doesn't care right now. They're the elite. We're just a bunch of peasants. Anyhow, we should be allowed to decide the fate of this health care bill because of the enormous impact it's going to have on our life and how many of our liberties are going to be stripped and taken away from us. Of course, it's going to end up in court the minute it's passed. Lawsuits are going to be filed to stop it because it may be unconstitutional anyway, or provisions of it may be. But we should decide that. And the way we decide that is that we need a law that allows we, the American people, a certain number of times a year to be able to vote on certain bills. How that would be done, I don't know. But this is certainly one that we need to vote on ourselves. And if we vote for it and we say yes, then Congress and the President would be bound by it. If we say no, then it's dead. They have to recraft it and redo it. Or just kill it. There's still a lot of legalities in there, still a lot of things, that I don't have time to go into. I'm just trying to give you a foundation, the idea of what I'm talking about. That's all this is. Anyhow, the way I have it crafted, if this were a constitutional amendment, we have the right to vote on this, Congress could still craft it, put it all together. And then when it's finished, it has to be presented in a way that we can understand, that most people can understand it. Not these 2,000-page documents. They can have that, but they've got to have another document that simplifies it. It'd be printed on newspapers all across the country, be on the television, be on the internet for people to read. And we can go over it. And then on a certain day, we will say yes or no. If we say yes, again, by law, it becomes law. If we say no, then it's dead. And they have to start over again. See, Congress still has a function there. They have to craft the bill. But we will decide it, not Congress. We, the majority of Americans, will decide these things like that. We should have been allowed to decide the budget. Every year when the budget comes up, we should decide whether we like the budget or not. These Congress people, they can't get anything done anymore. So we need to step in and say, yes, we like the budget, or no, we don't like the budget. We should have been allowed to vote on whether General Motors and Chrysler should get a bailout. We should have been allowed to decide whether or not that the American government can own an industry and have shares in it, like they do in General Motors, or Government Motors, what it's called now. We need to decide these things because we have a government that's not functioning anymore. It hasn't functioned in a long time. And the only way we can stop this is by taking some of these things that they are doing and put it in our hands. Yes, they've got to find an easier way for people to vote. We need to increase people's voting power. We need to make it simpler, but we also need to keep out those who are like Acorn, who vote, illegally. That's going to be the hard part, but it can be done. Some say, well, it's going to be too expensive. Well, it's very expensive what they're doing right now to us. It started with Bush, and now it's kept carrying on with Obama. They're just still in us blind. So my proposal is that certain bills, a certain number of times a year, we, the American people, will decide these things from now on. And they become law if it's approved. And it's dead if we vote against it. We should be able to vote on a number of things. And that's how, because we are supposed to be the government, but we've got people in power who think that they're the government only. What we think and say means nothing to them. So we have lost control of our own country. Thus, we have lost control of our own destiny. That's what's happening to us. And we need to take back our country, and there is no other way to do it except through this way. I think if we had a constitutional amendment, this would become part of our life. It would become part of our way of life. And now we, the American people, will have to get involved. And if we vote something down and it's a mistake, well then we, the majority, will accept the responsibility for it. Congress and the White House still has a function. They will still pass other bills. But there are certain bills that we alone will decide. And Congress will yield to whatever we decide. They will not decide that anymore. So their job is to craft it. Each side is going to have to craft it in a way that they can get us to vote for it, to vote yes for it. That's the only way they're going to be able to do it. And if it's a bad bill, then the opposition, whatever party's in power, would be if the Republicans are in power, the Democrats would probably try to shape it where most people would vote against it. So that would probably still be going on. But the point of it is that we will make that decision. Obama and them have no right to be buying up American corporations and owning them or having stakes in them. He should got our permission first. And before these bailouts took place, they should have got our permission. Before they started coming up with these trillion-dollar stimulus bills, they should have got our permission for it. We should have decided that. But we have no power left anymore. They've taken it from us. They've robbed us of it. And like I said, nothing less than a constitutional convention is going to save our country. And this should be included in a constitutional convention, this proposal I made. So I'm just providing the seed, a little something. There's a lot more to this, of course. And I hope that if you like the idea, you will make sure you will find a way to give it life. Just keep it alive. If you can add on to it, polish it, make it better, go right ahead. You know, that's the whole idea. And maybe we can take our country back from these thugs. Because I don't care who's in power anymore, they're just worthless. We are going to lose everything if we don't get control. And we don't take control from our government. This is the most democratic way to do it. It's nonviolent. It breaks no laws. And it's the right way to go about it. So if you like the idea, I hope you will give it some life and you will pitch it all over the internet, write it, blogs, everything. Give it life. Thank you for your time, and I hope one day this becomes a reality.